Let's take a look at number 21. This is solving quadratic equations by completing a square. Let's refresh our memory on completing a square. Now specifically that's completing a square to solve an equation. There's different things you can do with completing a square besides just solving equations. One, divide everything by the number in front of the x squared. I'm going to write this in terms of x's. Step 2. Take the number to the right side. When I say number, I'm talking about the constant term. Step 3. Take the number before the x, multiply it by 1/2, square it, and then add to both sides. Step 4, factor the left side. That's assuming that's where you had everything at, except for the number. Step 5, use the square root property to solve for x. So let's go ahead and do this one. Let's see, 21. That 8x is equal to 4x squared minus 1. Now this isn't in our correct form, so I'm going to go ahead and take the 8x over. So I got 4x squared minus 8x minus 1. And I'll go ahead and write this with a 0 on the right side. So that's the way I'm used to seeing it. Okay. Now step 1. Oops. Divide everything by the number in front of the x squared. Well, there's a 4 in front of it, so we're going to divide everything by 4. Well, the 4 divided by 4 cancels, gives us x squared, minus 8 divided by 4 is 2x, minus 1/4, and 0 divided by 4 is 0. Step 2, take the number to the right side. So I'm going to take the negative 1/4 and move it to the right side. So we got x squared minus 2x equals 1/4. Continue it up here. Step 3, take the number before the x, which is negative 2, multiply it times 1/2 and squared. It's always times 1/2, it's always squared. Negative 2 times 1/2 is negative 1, and negative 1 squared gives us a positive 1. And then they say add that to both sides. So we got x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 1/4 plus 1, which is x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals, this is a mixed number, take 1 times 4 is 4 plus 1 is 5, so we got 5/4. Step 4, factor the left side. Well, this factors as x minus 1 squared. Now that step is so easy. Whatever number is right here, right before you square it, sign included, is always just what goes right there. So it makes that step so much easier. Step 5, use the square root property to solve for x. Well, square root property says we drop off our squared and we put a plus or minus square root around the other side. Now I'm going to go ahead and take that negative 1 over, it becomes a positive 1. And we can't have a fraction inside of a square root. So I'm going to split this up. I'll put a square root around top and square root around the bottom. Well, we can't have a square root downstairs, but that's okay because square root of 4 is 2. Now probably they want us to put this into single fraction. Yes, I do. So I can rewrite the 1 as 2 over 2. And that's so we can get a common denominator. And our answer would be x is equal to 2 plus or minus square root of 5 over 2. 2 plus or minus square root of 5 over 2 would be D as in David. Now let me show another way to do this using the quadratic formula. It says you solve by completing a square, but just to show you another technique you may be more comfortable with. Quadratic formula says if you have it in the correct form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then you can write down your answer directly by the formula negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so let's work this problem again. We've got 8x is equal to 4x squared minus 1. And again, I want to get it in right form, so I'm going to take the 8x over, and it becomes a negative 8x. We've got 0 on one side. Have to have 0 on one side before you can use the quadratic formula. Now a is going to be what's before x squared, which is 4. And b is what's before x, which is negative 8. And c is our number at the end, which is a negative 1. You're probably money ahead to go ahead and go through everywhere you have a variable and put a set of parentheses. This is especially true if you mess up on signs. If you don't mess up on signs as much, then it doesn't matter. Now, wherever we had a b, we'll put in negative 8. Wherever we had an a, we'll put in 4. And wherever we had a c, we'll put in negative 1. Well, negative negative gives us a positive 8, plus or minus. Negative 8 squared is 64. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16 times a negative 1 gives us a positive 16 over 8. Which gives us 8 plus or minus square root of 80, 64 plus 16. Wherever you're at in math, if you can simplify your radicals, do so. 80 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 over 8. Now we're looking for, with square roots, we're looking for a pair of somethings. Here's a pair of 2's, that's going to come out as a single 2, and this is a pair of 2's, that'll come out as a single 2. So we have 8 plus or minus 4 square root of 5 over 8. They come out as multiplications, so 2 times 2 gives you 4. Now if you can divide this number, and this number by the same number, do so. And they're both, all three divisible by 4. So that gives us 2 plus or minus 1 square root of 5 over 2. Or just 2 plus or minus square root of 5 over 2. Which would be D as in David. I think that's what I set up above. Let's see if that's a true statement. Yeah, D as in David.